June 7th, 2013. We're going to go back to 2001. I was trying to think of, there's one, if you compress a year and you can compress it and think of a lot of things happening in 1 year. 2001, I'm thinking 2000 or 2001. Because it was the last year that we were living up north. And actually that last year, we took the summer off. And I'm going to try to talk about it over the next 2 or 3 days. I'm going to try to dig up, I know I have some pictures. But we took the summer off. We bid on working on a house. And went to Illinois and worked on a house most of that summer. I remember even being there during Christmas, so we had to be there for more than just a few months. I think we might have went up and bid on the house in summertime, and then that winter, and spring we left and came back. I remember and my mother's going to have to verify which year it was, and she broke her, had that water accident and snapped some bones in her foot because we had to come visit. And we had the new minivan we just bought with all the work that we did on the building. We made some good money. We were able to put some money away and buy a new that's when we bought the new white minivan. And I remember she had the accident, and then we came up that year to visit with that white minivan. So I'm going to say it's 2001. It might be 2000, but I remember 2002 is when we actually moved into Mounds View. It was 2002, so it was the year before, so I'm going to say it was 2001 that we had the minivan, because we had it for a very short time, and then I remember taking some time off and driving to Oklahoma, and then we came back and finished up on the house there, and then came back. So I remember I even took off work because it was something that both of us really wanted to do. We always wanted to restore an old house, and this was a house that was built in 1888 and had been turned. He said in the 70s had been turned into. It was a bigger house. I'll show you the pictures. Very unique, and had been split up into apartments. And then the owner wanted to change it back into a single family dwelling. So we did a lot of work in restoring it, getting it back into some of its original condition. We didn't quite get finished because he had at that time, when he had purchased, he had his eye on another house up the road, which was more elegant. Was really a showstopper. Just remarkable the condition it was in. It would have been easier to restore, even though it had tons of plumbing and electrical to do. That would have been a good job, but we fell out of favor with the owner. He had hooked up with another guy, and they parted, kind of easing us out of the picture and moving in a different direction. So, which was fine. It was time to move on. But the work that we did on that house was amazing. But there's different memories of that whole episode. I remember going to the library and trying to pick up some books, because this was like the old Main Street. This was a town that was probably 40, 50 miles from Chicago, right down the railroad. It was like a railroad town. So when they was building the railroad out of Chicago heading west, this was one of the towns that a lot of money had been put into the town, and they could live there and then take the train into Chicago when they needed. But so they didn't have to really live in Chicago. They could live a few miles out of town. So the main street had all these older houses. I remember there was one of the old houses that they were restoring. They started buying. People started buying that time because there was a lot of money going around before this recession thing had hit. So there was a lot of money floating around. So people were buying these older houses and restoring them. And this guy from Minneapolis here was a painter, artist, and had acquired a lot of money over the years with his dealings and sellings and dealings and stuff. And I remember even we gave my mother a picture that he did that he'd commissioned. I don't know if she still got it, but it was a picture of some flowers. But we never got him to sign it, so it really wasn't worth as much as just having a piece of his artwork. So I'm gonna dig up some pictures because just not only just the work that we did, but I remember because how we got the commission on that is that we went out. He purchased the house because he hadn't moved out there yet, because he purchased the house and we went out and looked at it and gave him some bids. Like I said, the house had been turned into apartments, but then it had sat empty for I'm going to say 25 years is a long time, but it had been sitting empty for I'm going to say at least 20 years. So it was someone had bought it and had done some of the major, not completely electrical, but had put in new electrical boxes and some done quite a bit of the rewiring and mostly all the plumbing. So the hard, expensive stuff was done, but the cosmetic really needed some work. They had some roof damage, and the roof had leaked. And what was strange about that is that it had leaked through the attic, because they had a full-size attic that you could walk around, which would have been made into a wonderful place. It had a solid floor all the way across, but you could stand up in it. It was really big and humorous, but there's no windows or anything up there, so it was pretty enclosed. He had some ideas of maybe opening that up, put some skylights in, and having a living. Since he was an artist, he wanted to have a place to paint and stuff, and that would have worked out good. The other house down the road that he bought had already room built up on the third floor and a big walkout. Like I said, it was magnificent. It had a big, the one up the road had a big, like a ballroom. So in those days, it even had the original stables. So back in the horse and carriage days, it had still the big stable out in the back. And like I said, this was next to the train tracks. So all that property along the train tracks was bought up by these wealthy businessmen out of Chicago and built these big houses along this main street, along this train thoroughfare. It was interesting that you could sit there and then the trains would come rolling by. Kind of reminded me of the childhood in Oklahoma City. That the train was right out, our backyard there, and you get to the point that you don't really notice it or feel it as it rumbles by. But if you're not around one, those first few times that it would be rolling down the tracks, it would shake the house. So it's like you knew there's a train coming down the back alleyway there. But a lot of fantastic pictures in my mind, memories of doing that. Like I said, it was over several months. Say 2000, 2001, and then my mom correct me on which year it is, and then I'll drop some of these photos on my timeline. So, Mom, give me some feedback on which year that you broke the bones in your lower foot on that water jet accident, and then I'll back up from there, because it was that winter before that we were in that house. But I remember when we went and did that first bid, like I said, the roof had leaked water through the attic and through all the way to the second floor, and just the water crawl, drip, 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 and eaten a hole in the floor. God, I'm gonna say at least that big. You could drop a whole bucket through the floor. There was that water had over that period of time, and I know it was over. I'm gonna say over 20 years. It sat empty, had dripped, and just ate away at that floor. It opened up a big hole, and I was able to take some of the wood out of one of the back rooms. We sacrificed the back rooms that would have walked out. There was no back patio, but would have walked out into the back steps, and kind of like a storage room, and then pulled up some of that flooring so we could fill in, and completely filled in that hole with some of the original wood floor. And like I said, he was impressed by that, and that sealed the deal. So, and we were making really good money. We was making like $200 a day. It was like $100 each on the work we was doing. So we was able to, since we didn't rent a room, and I'll explain that later. As when we first got there, that first time, it was too expensive to rent. But we was able to stay there at the house and work. Took one of the rooms and cleared it off and made sleeping quarters. And it was interesting because the kitchen wasn't finished yet, and we completely built 2 bathrooms where there weren't any, and restored the other one. Actually, there's 4 of them. Restored the other 2. Did a lot of work getting that house livable, and among other things, among ripping out a bathroom. But it is quite a project. Like I said, it's amazing. We were lucky at the time and place, and being able to work on something, be able to do something you always wanted to do, but at somebody else's expense. It was pretty good. I'm going to, since I think it's 2001, since I'm shooting for that, I'm going to play 2001 Space Odyssey. On the movie Stanley Kubrick's masterpiece. I think it came out like in '69 or something. It was again way ahead of its time. If you watch it, it's amazing how some of that stuff is very futuristic. But 2001, and it finally did come to pass. 2001. Who would have thought? And now it is 2013.